Hey guys, and welcome to my review of season 12 of Doctor Who. New Who, that is. Okay, so before I even jump right into this review, I did want to just say something, a little quick message, I guess. And basically, I just, well, there's a reason. There's, I guess, two reasons that this review took a little bit longer than normal. Obviously, you guys, especially when I was in the heart of New Who and everything, you guys kind of were used to getting the review the week after. Obviously, I kind of had the luxury to take my time with this season in particular. And the first reason that this took a while was honestly the finale in particular was pretty controversial, and I wanted to make sure, I wanted to kind of let it sort of sink in a little bit before I, started talking about it. There's quite a few episodes, I think, over the course of Doctor Who that I either think more fondly of after some time, or I don't think as fondly of, after my initial watch or whatever. So I kind of had the luxury to do that, and given it's such a, can we say, like, polarizing maybe sort of finale within the fandom and all of that, I kind of wanted to make sure that I, got some distance from it and just see how I felt after some time. But the other reason that I kind of took my time with this review was just the fact that, as I think a good portion of you can relate, 2020 has been very, very difficult for a lot of people, the world in general, and I am no different. There's obviously stuff that's been going on with COVID and all of that stuff, but personally, these past few months have been pretty tough as well, and I've been going through it basically, and I really didn't want to spend a ton of time working on channel things other than what I possibly could consider the bare minimum of getting these reactions out every week, doing all of these videos every week. Kind of my off time, I really needed to handle some stuff personally. And it did allow me to kind of, take my time and watch the episodes and rewatch the season at my own pace, take my notes, do what I do when I do reviews, but kind of in my own time. So I wanted to say thank you because of the fact, I know that was really long-winded, but if you guys have been on my channel for a while, I'm long-winded. I just wanted to say thank you because you guys were not pressuring at all. I did get questions, obviously, like, oh, when's the review? When are you going to do this? Whatever. And I would just respond and say, it's coming, I'm working on it. And every time, everybody was really like, oh, great, take your time, whatever. And I felt like I could take my time to do this review when I was kind of struggling with other stuff. And I just wanted to say thank you because you guys were really, really sweet about it. And you guys were not putting any extra pressure that I would then internalize and put onto myself. And so anyway, from the bottom of my heart, I just wanted to say thank you for that, because really it did kind of help me out in these past couple of months. Also, with that being said, I am very, very aware that there are quite a couple of, videos that have come out during Doctor Who lockdown, and I just ask, I kindly ask to just be patient with me. I am aware of them, and I'm doing the best that I can. And please try your best if you can resist. I'm letting you know that I'm aware of them, to not flood this comment section down below with just either requests for them or why haven't you done them yet or whatever. Okay, I'm aware of them. I'm sorry. I'm doing the best that I can. Okay. That's my spiel on that. Let's get into this season. And my notes are so long, so buckle up. We might be here for a while. My reviews are normally pretty long, but yeah, let's just get into it. So obviously, well, not obviously, but the first thing that I want to address about, obviously, again, if I keep looking down, it's because my notes are down here, so I apologize. One of the things that I actually really loved about this season that was really different than how they handled things in last season was the fact that they did not ignore the past. Now, it kind of became clear at some point in, last season that it was kind of all new monsters, all new, and I was not the biggest fan of that. Now, I'm okay with kind of new, fresh stories. I like that. I'm absolutely okay with that. And I think if, in general, that's fine. It doesn't really bother me. But I do believe that one of the things that is so unbelievably special about Doctor Who is the history. The history of, yeah, the villains, but also the people that the Doctor has encountered. You know, the Doctor's relationship with Rose, the Doctor's relationship with Donna, the Doctor's, I mean, on and on, all of these different people. I think in general, it's just so significant. Going back and, I'm a big supporter of how I kind of think that one of the most significant relationships that the Doctor ever had was with Ian and Barbara, because I think that they kind of brought him a bit out of his shell and stuff like that. I feel like all of these things have really contributed to the history of the show and the history of who the Doctor is. And it was kind of, I guess, a bit jarring if, they never really addressed this stuff. Now, obviously, we had the special that was obviously the Daleks. And so they kind of really got into one of the more iconic villains of the series. But I really did want, in this season, one of the main things that I did want was, let's not ignore the past. Let's have these companions learn a little bit more about the Doctor. And that really was kind of something that I was yearning for, and I absolutely got it in this season. I absolutely think that starting the season off with the Master reveal was, and just wonderful acting and just absolutely amazing. I absolutely adore that scene, along with kind of the reveal of Gallifrey and what happened there. I think it's one of the best ways to kind of like break this. If you think about the eyes of the companions of Yaz and Graham and Ryan, they're on that plane, and this obvious, like, can I say kind of psychopath at this point, has just completely changed his demeanor. And then you can tell that there's history between this guy and the Doctor and what's going on and who is that or whatever. And that, I think, was a really, really great way to kind of say there's a lot of history here, and now we're gonna kind of dive into it. I really liked that. Obviously, we had some other things throughout this season with the Jadoon, which I loved, and the Cybermen, and I was actually really, really happy to see kind of a friendlier face with Jack, obviously. I mean, most of us were very excited to see Jack. And to kind of give maybe a little bit perspective of how long the Doctor's been around and how many lives she's touched. And so that was something that I was really happy about with this season in general. I'm going to go a little bit into each of the characters now, and the first thing that I'm going to say, I'm going to talk about the Doctor. The main thing that I was appreciative of this season with this particular Doctor is we were finally getting little glimpses and a bit of a sense of who this Doctor really was. And I really loved that, because I think I felt after last season, let's be honest, the last season, it was really kind of, and I like the last season. There's a lot of stories that I like, but there was a lot of standalone stories. There was some arc with it, particularly with Ryan and Graham and their relationship, obviously, but there was very kind of playful vibe to the season, and cheerful. And the Doctor kind of acted in the same vein. There was a handful of moments that I actually loved, where the Doctor was not as upbeat, I guess, as normal. And, you know, I kind of was a little bit yearning to be like, yeah, but what is going on with this Doctor? And I would just really like to know more. And I think we didn't really get that deep dive like we have in the past. I feel like with pretty much every other New Who Doctor, after one season, I got a good idea of who they were, the traits that were kind of important to them, and, you know, what was just their I don't want to say their personality, but more kind of just the more intricate parts of who they were. And I feel like I was lacking that a little bit. So I was really, really happy that this season we kind of got some ideas and insight. So yeah. The last season was very cheerful, especially the way that the Doctor handled things. I'm not saying that there were no sad things or no emotional things that happened in the last season, but in general, that was kind of the vibe that it wasn't the dark season of the Doctor, and she seems to really have this just infectious happiness, I guess, and as we kind of see in this season, it's a bit, I think, and this might just be my opinion, I think that she's a bit of an escapist. I think she's a bit of really kind of wanting to put herself in this happy place. I just want to be happy. Here are my problems over here. I don't want to deal with those. Nope. Yep. Master, Gallifrey, oh, nope. And you can tell that she's a bit uncomfortable. I mean, she will deal with them. It's not the best way to put it, but I think she doesn't really want to deal with them with her fam. And that's not to say that she doesn't love her fam or anything like that. But I think the Doctor in the past has been scorned way too many times, lost too many people. If we think about the last kind of, incarnation in 12. Think about what happened to Clara, and then think about what happened to Bill. It makes sense that she doesn't really want to just bring people in, and she wants to have fun adventures. She wants to reach out and have this family and have this fun, but she wants to keep her time with them kind of fun and exciting. And we've seen in various different points in this season that she's just like, I don't want to bring you. I don't want you to be, I don't want you to get hurt. And I you know, we're especially in episode 8, where she kind of talks about the people that she's lost, and she's like, do not follow me, you know, when she's going to go deal with the lone Cyberman. And there's a point where she just says, oh my God, I've been so reckless with you. I've been so reckless with you. And it's kind of, you can tell that she has this really big fear of losing these companions. And I like that we were kind of able to dive into that part of her character. And we kind of get a really good idea that she doesn't really talk about her past that often. It's very rare, I would assume, if it hasn't really come up, because in the premiere, Graham talks about the fact that, or when it's revealed that, you know, she used to be a man, that Graham is like, what? And so you can kind of tell that maybe they don't really know maybe so much about regenerations. Maybe they don't know so much about, I mean, obviously this is all, you know, I'm speculating a little bit, but I think that it's kind of, I don't know. I think I don't think she's really opening up about the people of her past or anything like that. I think she's trying to keep this fam, this gang, fun and lighthearted. And if she starts opening up about the past, that sometimes does not get fun and lighthearted. She'll make a passing comment of something maybe fun or whatever has happened in the past, or people she's come across, especially in like history and stuff. But in general, the people that really, that she's lost and everything, I don't think she's really, you know, opening up too much about that. The only thing I will say is I kind of wish there was a little bit more significant moment where she does open up about that with her companions. But, you know, we still have time. In another tune, maybe not as serious, I kind of like that they've made the Doctor slightly socially awkward. I think there's a couple of moments throughout this season that we kind of see that she's not really picking up on social cues. The one that really sticks in my mind is when, like, Ryan and Bella, I do have it in my notes, but I don't want to, from Orphan 55, they're like obviously flirting, and then the Doctor sits right in between them, and she's like, what are we talking about? And it's like she's not aware that there's something going on. I really, I like that they have kind of made such a powerful character, we could say that, right? Like a very powerful, strong character within the Doctor that has seen so much and done so many things. Like she can be socially awkward too. I think it's a nice message to send, especially younger people watching, that like it's okay. We all have our moments like that, and so I actually really like that part of her personality. So talking about awkward moments and stuff, and I think I have to bring up the conversation where Graham kind of talks to her and confides in her about the fact that he's scared that his cancer might be coming back. And I am kind of 50-50 on that moment. I know a lot of people don't like the moment, a lot of people love the moment, and I'm a bit in the middle. As I was talking about, I love the fact that they're kind of showing the doctor is like, even she struggles with finding the right words to say. We've all been there. We've all had that moment of like, somebody is just going through such a rough time and you're like, I don't know what to say to make anything better. And then you just say like, I'm sorry. And then it seems disingenuous. Like, I feel like a lot of us have been in that position before. And so I did love that they really kind of showcase that, I guess, especially with somebody like the doctor. I love that. I don't think that there was anything wrong with that. The only thing that I do wish, a little asterisk if I could on that scene, I do wish that it eventually, at some point, they could have had like a moment together. It didn't have to be in that scene, but maybe later on having a moment where the doctor maybe is comforting Graham in some way, or she just kind of says, maybe I don't know the right thing to say. I kind of wish that they had a more bonding experience after the fact, if that makes sense. That didn't necessarily focus on her finding the right thing to say, because sometimes you just can't. But I did kind of wish that got touched on again. For their relationship. So for me, the absolute best moment from the doctor this season was in episode 8, where she was talking about the people that she has lost to the Cybermen and that she never wants to do that again. And then a little bit later, talking about, I loved, and you guys might, I don't know, maybe you guys will think I'm weird, but I loved the whole, like, this is not always a flat team structure. It is a mountain with the summit, and I am at the top alone to make the decisions on my own, and this is what's just loved that performance. I kind of like when Jodie's doctor gets mad, and that's probably weird, but I like when, she doesn't have this. I like that she's playful. I'm all down for who the 13th Doctor is, and it sounds like I'm kind of bashing that, but I'm really not. It's just, I like when, that kind of layer gets peeled back, and then we get like the real down under, where she is just so being really genuine about her pain and her hurt and what she's gone through and the decisions that she's had to make and what has had to happen. I think, just as an example, I think if she sat them down and talked about what she had to do to Donna. You know how you guys cherish traveling with me. I'm talking as the doctor now. You know how you loved it or whatever. What if I just took all that away from you? Because it's the only thing that, could save you in the end. Anyway, I just think I love these glimpses of when all of that kind of rises to the surface. And there are slightly uncomfortable moments, but I love them. And so that was, I loved it. Which again, maybe makes me a little bit weird. I can't love the really happy-go-lucky doctor. I'm like, man, when she gets angry, that's my thing. Like, I don't know. But anyway. So let's move on to Graham. So I feel a little bit like Graham was slightly underused a little bit this season, especially because he seemed to be the fan favorite of the first season. For most people, he was the companion that people really loved. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that was the general consensus of the three companions, that he was the one that people really liked. I feel like he was kind of used for comedic effect a lot of times. He had moments, of course, you know, but I felt like there were some episodes that he was slightly underused. I think there's some good setup for his, if we want to call it, companion arc. You know, could his cancer actually be coming back? Is he scared of that? Did he see ghosts? Is that gonna come up again in episode 8? Like, what? Just what? I don't know. And I guess I can only hope that he gets a good resolution to his whole arc. I mean, I think, obviously in the last season, him and Ryan had a great kind of relationship arc, if that makes sense, and it kind of resolved at the end and it was great. But I definitely, you know, I think I would like, you know, these little moments that we have where he's talking to the doctor about being scared that the cancer is coming back and things like that. I do hope that they will lead and kind of wrap up nicely. I am pretty aware that these companions, their time might be up soon. I have no idea with these three. But in general, with New Who, you know, kind of some of the longest, I'm making sure I'm not saying the wrong thing. It was like 2.5 years, or seasons. I think it was kind of the highest about. So, you know, I'm thinking that we might be getting towards the end. But this is a new showrunner, possibly new rule. Maybe they'll be the companions for the entire run. I have no idea. I mean, I what do I know? But you know, I kind of am getting that sense that I got at the end of season 6. I think it was around that time, where I was starting to get really paranoid, because I felt like my holy trinity of 11, Amy, and Rory might come to an end. I obviously am not as scared as I was then. I think that was, I mean, that was my team, that was my everything. But I do feel like we might be coming to an end, and I'm a little scared that maybe some of these companions are not going to have the best arc in the end. That's just how I feel. Maybe you disagree. It's very possible. I will say, before the end of these companions' run on the show, whenever that happens, I would like a good Ryan and Graham focused episode or subplot to an episode. Like a really good one where because I thought that was probably one of my favorite parts of last season, was this, you know, figuring out their family and having this big moment where he calls him granddad, like all of these, you know, And it seems like they didn't really have too much in this season. So that's just something that I personally would like. Maybe you don't agree with that, but for me, I would really love to see just a little bit of focusing on that a little bit more. Yeah. So let's move on to Ryan. My dear Ryan. He is my favorite of these three companions still. And I will say that I think that he had some good moments within this season, and some with the doctor. I loved the little comedic virus thing in Orphan 55. I thought that was great. I liked the words that sorry, I'm reading my notes for this part. I liked kind of the words that he said about her in the Nikola Tesla's episode, where he's talking about her and he says, you know, she's impossible too. And he kind of has this lovely fondness for the doctor. And because of that, I got really excited. I think it's in my reaction. I got really excited when he was kind of left behind in Ascension of the Cybermen and they were together. And I was like, oh, are we gonna get like some good, like, Ryan and Doctor bonding? Like, I really think that something that I'm yearning for a lot is the Doctor having kind of individual bonding, as I talked about with the Graham thing, like with the companions. I kind of really want that. And you know, they did kind of, they were together but there wasn't really any, I think, significant moments with that. So I do wish that there was a little bit more focus on the Doctor's relationship with each companion individually. And I think that kind of, especially with this season, a lot of the episodes had big casts. So there was a lot of, and I like that a lot of the times. But there were a couple of episodes that definitely had kind of bigger casts and things like that, and that maybe a little bit, you know, kind of spread everything a little bit too thin. I really loved, and I don't really know what the fan reaction to this was at all, but I really loved the appearance, a couple of appearances of Ryan's friend, Thibaut. Oh God, I'm probably saying that wrong. And I love that the relationship that they kind of showcased in Can You Hear Me? Absolutely one of the highlights of the season for me. I just love that they kind of focused on that. And I really do hope that we see his friend again. I would kind of be okay if he kind of recurred every so often. That would be nice. But I really loved kind of the focus on and how supportive Ryan is. And it kind of leads me to this whole thing that there might be some hints that Ryan might want to go back to a normal life a little bit. And another reason that I, relate to Ryan, I guess, but he talked about, there was talk about normal being boring in Nikola Tesla's, and so they're kind of planting these seeds, like, is normal boring, is it not, whatever. And there were hints in Can You Hear Me that Ryan might not want to be doing this forever. Obviously he sees that his friend got old and one of his fears and was waiting for him. And so I think that that is something that might come up, him kind of wanting to go back and stay for a bit, or for good, or something like that. And it's been a while since we've really had a companion leave like on good terms and like not terrible. It doesn't seem like that to me because I'm watching Classic Who, and some of those companion exits are a little less tragic than the majority of New Who companion exits, but you know, shout out to Martha. But and something that I did want to talk about was Ryan and Yaz's friendship. Their friendship was one, I really liked it in the first season, and I did want them to kind of elaborate on it a little bit more in this season. In the first season, meaning the last season, not like the first, you know what I mean. Sorry. But some of the best moments of season 11 was with these two characters. I loved when he kind of opened up to her about what happened with his mom. And I liked the friendship that was being built. They had that really great talk in Rosa as well. I like those moments a lot. And again, I don't think that they showcased it too much in this season, but there was a bit in the premiere where she kind of says, you know, I thought I was dead when she got kind of taken, and he said, I'm never gonna let that happen. And it does make me a little worried that maybe at some point Ryan might sacrifice himself for Yaz. And it could lead to a tragic ending, and I'm a little bit, I kind of be okay with that. I think I'm a bit yearning for these seasons of New Who to really take my heart and stomp on it, because maybe, you know, I'm just used to it, so I'm just expecting it at some point. And kind of maybe the tragedy of, you know, Ryan being the one that may want to go back and settle down and have some normalcy ends up being somebody who sacrifices himself. And maybe I'm reading too much into stuff. It happens, but I think that would be kind of interesting to, if they kind of did that with his character, and it might help him. I don't really know how Graham would handle that, though. That would be too much, I think. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, just kind of wanted to say that. I don't know what that means, if that means anything. If that's foreshadowing or just a comment of a lovely supportive friend. So now let's move on to Yaz. A great thing that happened this season was having a better understanding of who Yaz is. To be blunt, she did not make much of an impression on me in the last season. I felt like she was mostly just there. That she had a couple of good moments, but I really was like, why don't we? And if you go back to my season 11 review, I talk about that I would love a little bit more into her character and seeing a bit more about who she really is. And we did get a bit of that this season. They really focused on her being both brave and a bit impulsive. They're a little good, a little maybe not so good. I don't know. I think it's kind of up to interpretation. But how you view it, I guess. You know, obviously she kind of wants to investigate everything. Wanting to stay to the last minute, not being super cautious and worrisome like Ryan is, maybe, kind of led her to be taken in the premiere. And it worked out okay. But, you know, that's not the best. And, you know, wanting to stay behind, to investigate more. And in episode 8, particularly, where she still wants to help even after the doctor's warning. You know, she says something like, technically she said this, which means we can do this. Like, you know, and obviously the doctor was like, stay here, I don't want anybody to die. you know, and Yaz just wants to help. And there is something very admirable about that. I wonder if we are going to ever see this, maybe have some negative effects. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see that happen. Right now it seems that she's just really brave and she's okay risking her own life, and it's all very lovely, but I am a little bit, you know, interested to see if we are going to see this backfire ever and how she's going to cope with that. Maybe again, that's maybe just something that I want, you know. Again, I think they are laying some good character groundwork. But I'm just kind of hoping that there's more payoff in the end. And all I can really do is sit and wait and see what happens, you know. I obviously really loved the flashback in Can You Hear Me? It gave wonderful insight into, you know, why she wanted to be a cop and why she got that inspiration, and feeling a bit wanting to feel wanted, I guess, and it means a lot to her. And I love the fact that we did get a good idea, more so in this season, of who Yaz really is. And just to touch on kind of some companion moments, I am going to go into the finale specifically, but I just want to touch on some companion moments in the finale, seeing as I'm kind of talking about the companions right now. There were a couple of good moments. I do think that they weren't featured as much in the finale. Obviously, Ryan throwing the grenade, it was kind of a callback to, you know, the basketball, which I know people make fun of, but I had no problem with that scene or anything like that. And the talk with Graham and Yaz was really great, and I feel like that was kind of a callback to how she felt in her flashback in Can You Hear Me? With and kind of feeling, you know, feeling admired, feeling like she's accomplished something, and feeling wanted. And I think that was a really great moment as well. Again, I do think that they have these little moments kind of sprinkled throughout the season. But I just hope, I feel like some certain things would mean a little bit more or have more of an emotional punch if they really focused on these characters, their personalities, and their arc. So, sorry, my stomach's growling. I was like trying to hold it for like a minute. I'm hungry, sorry. I just really, so I think I'm just a little bit worried that I just want these three characters, because at the end of the day, I think they're all really likable characters. I mean, in general, I mean, I like ones more than others, and the same with everybody else, but I don't have such an emotional attachment, I think, to them as I have with other companions, and I don't know if that's just me. It's possible. It certainly happened before. But I feel like, particularly with New Who, a lot of the companions, if not every single companion, has had some sort of arc, and some sort of character story that they've told. You know, from Rose to Donna to Amy to like Bill, I think so many of these characters have had very significant arcs, and I'm kind of just hoping that will be the case for these companions as well. Okay, so obviously I like to kind of talk about themes of every season when I do these reviews, and I feel like the theme of this season was facing your past, as I was talking about at the beginning of this video. I think that it's pretty significant. It seems like 13 kind of wanted to run away from her pain, or maybe not run away, but well, I mean, isn't the Doctor's whole thing that he stole the TARDIS and was, anyway? But you know, but really wanted to deal with it on her own, which I can kind of relate to that. I'm not one who really likes to talk about my feelings or talk about my problems. And when I do express stuff, it's like anyway, we don't need to psychoanalyze me at this moment, but I think when she's forced to face these feelings that she has, that's when I find her the most engaging. That's when I really kind of love who she is in general, and find Jodie's performance to be the best. Obviously, we kind of start with the Master and Jack and this mystery of the new Doctor, and then the Cybermen, and then everything at Gallifrey. And it seemed like her past and who she has been is like creeping up on her, you know? And it's been happening all season. One of the great things I think about the finale was the fact that the Doctor learned some new things, and that everything that she knew is possibly a lie. And how I feel about the revelations and everything is putting that to the side. How she coped with it, and how that was very engaging and very interesting to me. So let's get into this finale, shall we? Let's just dive right in. And kind of the main reason that I did want to take a little bit of time in doing this review is I wanted to. It's such a tense atmosphere, and I understand that Doctor Who always has a split fandom in a lot of regards. There are some people who love a certain era and love this era, and they cannot accept that anyone would think different than them. How dare they? I get a certain amount of hate, obviously, because I think it's obvious that I love 11 and 12, and that era is my era if I had to choose. And there are some people that don't like that, and are very vocal about not liking that, and I'm not a true Doctor Who fan. Yeah. But I think no matter what, like, this is a controversial thing that has happened in this finale, this revelation, and I think no matter what, it's just, I wanted to be able to address it and be honest about my thoughts, and just word it correctly, I guess, or I don't know. But I really wanted to see how I felt about it over time. The main thing that I wanted to just say before I get into everything is I really loved the Doctor and the Master's chemistry and rage. That's the best way to put it. In this episode, you know, the Doctor had the Doctor's angry moments, and the Master's kind of new revelation and self-hatred and everything going on. Like, oh my goodness, I just loved that. Do we have, can I ask? And I'm still not entirely clear when this Master is. Do we know for a fact or no? If you could leave down below how you feel about that, or if something was, I rewatched all the episodes, and I didn't get a clear idea in my head. And I did make this comment before that I do hope, in my opinion, I hope that the Master is pre-Missy. I know some people have some feelings about that, and some people are angry about that, but I do hope that Missy, I love Missy, my favorite, and my favorite Master, hands down, by far. Now, I haven't seen like the original. I don't know when I'm going to get to that, but if you're watching this without knowing my channel that well, I'm on the second Doctor when it comes to Classic Who, so just you know where I am with that. And I felt like her arc, particularly with 12, was just perfect. It was perfect. And that I would be one of those people that would be kind of upset if this came after. Now, I understand that the Master finding out this kind of led him to be kind of crazed, and that could be the reason that. But anyway, that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. So anyway, couple other little notes. I do believe that the lone Cyberman was dealt with way too easy after all of this amazing buildup that we had throughout the season. Jack's warning, and then the episode 8 I just thought was really great for it, and kind of building up this threat in episode 9, and then I feel like it was just like, okay, bye. Like, really. So that was, and the other thing I just had to write down, because it's like the Cyberman Time Lord hybrid, whatever you want to call it, design still makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. I don't know what to tell you. It makes me laugh. Okay. So let's talk about the revelation. The last of the Time Lords have become the first of the Time Lords, I guess, sort of, in some way. First thing I want to say about this is it's okay to feel however you feel about this. Nobody's right or wrong in opinions. Just feel the need to say that. Okay. So I think if you watch my reaction, I don't remember verbatim what I've said, but I believe that there was a part of me that was a little, not so pleased about this reveal, so to speak. Not loving it. Because I didn't really want it to detract from particularly the first Doctor being the first Doctor. I think it's a fascinating reveal. I think it's really interesting, and you can see how, the performances were amazing with Jodie and Sasha. Absolutely amazing, and really, really well done. So honestly, how I feel about this changing is I genuinely have to see what they're going to do with it. Because I think the main problem that I have with it, I don't necessarily have a problem with it on paper when it comes to the plot. Don't really have an issue with that. I think the problem that I have, and I'm okay with making the Doctor, I do understand the argument that the Doctor was kind of supposed to be a misfit, but I think that could still be true, but I will say, the Doctor's supposed to be a misfit and not really the origin of it all or whatever. But I'm okay with having the Doctor be that, the Doctor is such an important character anyway. I'm okay with that. The thing that I have an issue with, that I hope we'll see how it goes from here on. I'm kind of still in this wait and see sort of phase with this revelation. I feel like there's a lot that goes into, I'm trying to say this right, looking at my notes. There's a lot that goes into choosing who plays the Doctor and their Doctor's arc, and what are they going to bring to this role. And the only thing that I kind of am worried and don't really want is for, you know, this person to pop up and be the Doctor, and this person to pop up and be the Doctor, and then everybody's the Doctor. And like, I don't necessarily think they're going to do that, but there is a bit of, there is such a, I feel like, a special place for the first Doctor and the second Doctor and the third. I haven't gotten to the third yet, or the fourth, and I haven't gotten there yet. But you know, and 8 and 9 and 10 and they have made their mark, and they are very, I don't know how else to put it than special. I don't know. This is so stupid. But I think, and even with 13, you know, there's this big announcement around who the 13th Doctor was, and we get to see, and we're like, oh, what is her time to shine? And that's the only issue I have with it. I don't really want that to be kind of taken away because there's going to be all of these other Doctors popping up. Does that make sense? I hope I am making myself a little bit clear that that's what I'm a little bit worried about, personally, with this new revelation. I'm not particularly that mad about it. I also, as I have said, I'm only in the second Doctor when it comes to Classic Who, so I'm not as fully embedded in kind of the Time Lord Gallifreyan history of everything just yet. You know, I'm not really there yet, so maybe I will feel different. If I don't know, I have no idea. I'm just gonna, we'll see. But yeah, so I think that's kind of where my worries lie. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. I don't know, yeah, I don't know, but I think that you're allowed to feel how you feel. You can be okay with it, you can not love the idea, and it's all okay. We all think differently, we all have different opinions, and that is okay. Okay, so I always end my reviews with my top 5 favorite episodes of the season. And I'm going to do a little honorable mention. I do this every so often, but I'm going to do a little honorable mention, and you guys can give me all the shit you want, and it's not in my top 5, but I didn't hate Orphan 55, and when I rewatched it, I still didn't hate it. I liked the characters. I thought that there was a couple of things that maybe didn't hit the mark as well as it should have, but in general, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching it again, and so there. But it's like last season was really funny because, and that one did make my top 5 episodes. The Saranga, however you say it. That episode, I love that episode. I still love that episode. Fight me, I don't care. It's real. I really like gravitate towards certain episodes that the majority of the fandom think are the worst. I still like Love and Monsters. Whatever. Don't let other people tell you what you can like and what you can't like. All right. All right, number 5. So number 5, I did the 2-parter together, is Spyfall. I thought it was a great opener, especially the ending of episode 1, but I loved the whole thing. Absolutely amazing opener. I loved the whole James Bond feel of it. I mean, the master, just that whole thing was great. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Absolutely amazing. The chemistry between the Doctor and this master is amazing. They possibly give 12 and Missy a run for their money. They're not there yet, but you know, they're getting there. I just love it. Absolutely love it. And the second part, I thought was so good, and I loved going through time and everything. It made me want a companion from the past again. I say again, because I think I'm possibly slightly inspired by Jamie, and I think that in New Who, it's something that could be really delved into when, like, not only are all of these things going to be kind of, or all of sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Like, everything is kind of strange and exciting with the Doctor, but to have a companion still have to kind of get up to date to like current times as well. I really think that that could be something really cool that we could do, or hopefully do, at some point. And the, you know, obviously, the people that she encountered in the second part was just, it was just great, and just showing these strong women of the past. Ugh, I loved it, and I loved the Gallifrey reveal. I loved the funny moments with like Graham and the shoes, and like, I just really, such a great opener for the season. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Number 4, a episode that really did a lot better on a I didn't dislike it the first time, but I was kind of okay with it. Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. I liked it a lot more on a rewatch. The performances are pretty electrifying, and you kind of just get sucked in, and you're like, like, I don't know, there's just a nice feel to it. The man who played Tesla was absolutely amazing. And the conversation between the Doctor and Tesla, and them talking about kind of being outsiders, but isn't there just nothing better than having an idea and putting it into motion and building things, and it just warmed my heart. I loved it. I loved, such a great, in my opinion, you know, person from the past that I genuinely didn't know much about. I mean, one of the things that I absolutely adore about Doctor Who is the fact that sometimes it brings up people and shows people and visits people from the past that maybe you didn't know. Maybe you know who they are, but that's about it. You know just who they are. You don't really know everything that they've done or have accomplished, or all of these little things, and I love that it can get you passionate about people from the past, and that was something really great about that that episode. Again, fun moments with Ryan and Graham with the kind of gadgets. I don't know, Ryan and Graham did have some good comedic moments and throughout this season, and God, on a production standpoint, the shot of Tesla in the TARDIS is just I think one of the best images of this season. 100%. Loved it. Number 3 is Can You Hear Me? Oh, I loved it. I loved Can You Hear Me? I loved having a story talking about mental health that was obviously addressing mental health, making a good point of it, but didn't bash you over the head with it. You know, genuinely, I think at the end of Orphan 55, which is one of the things that kind of knocked it down a little bit for me, was a little bit preachy at the end. The same a little bit with, you know, the Praxeus, and I felt like there were some. I think there's a beauty to a story kind of tackling an issue that doesn't just throw it in your face. Does that make sense? A little bit? And I think that Can You Hear Me did a beautiful job of that. Absolutely beautiful. Everything happening with Ryan's friend just, God, it hit me right here. I related. I've had tough times mentally in the past, and just seeing, I just related to him, where he didn't really know why, but he was finding things difficult and he didn't want to talk to somebody. That just, I just loved that thing, and I loved how supportive Ryan was, and I loved their relationship, and man, I cannot talk enough about how I would love to see him again and see more of their friendship. I think that would just be something really beautiful to show again, and everything. The animation was amazing when they did the whole animation sequence, and I thought the villains were creepy and terrifying. I loved it. And then, of course, kind of topping the whole thing off with you know, Yaz's backstory was such a beautiful insight to her character, and how she kind of became who she was, and I just really loved that. I loved the way that the doctor kind of defeated them I really, really loved this episode. Okay, number 2. Oh no, I'm going to say this wrong. The Haunting of Villa Diodati? Uh-oh. I loved the idea of going back to see Mary Shelley. When you think about just really great people, Nikola Tesla, Mary Shelley, great. Yes, I'm on board. I love it. I have a thing with kind of old horror. I love it. I love it. I love the story of Frankenstein. I love Dracula. I love Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and I just, there's so many, but I love these kind of things. So I was so excited going into it. And I loved the creepy nature of the episode, and I loved the mystery, and I loved what is going to inspire Frankenstein's monster and things like that. And I just really, I liked it a lot. So I was already going in being like, I think I'm going to like the vibe of this episode, and I was really excited about it. And then, obviously, we had some kind of comedy bits with like Lord Byron being really into the Doctor and the Doctor having none of it. I like the little side plot where this girl is kind of pining for Lord Byron, and then she finally is like, Q at the end of it. Love it. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. Wonderful moments from the Doctor in this episode. Well, absolutely, probably my favorite episode that showcased her, just, I loved her words matter speech. I loved that, in response to if they could let Shelley die. And obviously I talked before about I'm loving the moment of the not a flat team structure, and what it's this moment where the companions really get a good taste of everything that the Doctor's been through. And maybe they've gotten hints of it before, but now she's like, you don't know. Which is maybe why I guess a little bit I'm a little disappointed that the Cyberman threat was a little kind of thrown away a little bit, because I think that she did this whole thing of like, this is This is no joke. This is no joke. Anyway. The moment with Mary Shelley and the Lone Cyberman was really, really great. Rewatching that was wonderful because it kind of showed him as a decent villain, as a terrifying villain. He's like, you're not going to appeal to me at all, and my emotions. And it also showed that she was really fearless in that moment, and I just really loved that. And kind of the last moments where, you know, we're getting this call back to Jack saying, don't give the lone Cyberman what it wants, and the doctor having to do... I loved it, and I loved the just kind of the cliffhanger vibe that we got after that. I was so excited for the last 2 episodes when it came to the doctor, you know, kind of saying, like, she gives the Cyberman what he wants, and she says, now, you know, now I need to correct the mess I made right now. That's what I need to do right now. And let's go. Let's do this. Absolutely adored that. Great episode. And for fun factor and lovely moments, and number 1 is the fugitive of the Jadoon. I just had such a great time reacting to it, and there is always going to be a portion of that mixed in with how I feel about certain episodes. Sometimes it's your response to my reactions. For example, how absolutely wonderfully kind you guys all were to me after A Good Man Goes to War, after I talked about being spoiled about it and whatever, and you guys were lovely and wonderful. I mean, that's one of my favorite episodes anyway. Let's just be real. It's great. But for me, everybody disagrees, but I will always think so fondly about that. And there's a few episodes like that. And I think maybe not so much the response, but the response was wonderful for this episode, but just the sheer joy that I felt in this episode because of the reveals and everything that was going on. I had such a good time. And this was part of that time that I've been talking to you about, that I'm just been struggling personally with some shit, and just, it's been tough. And this episode, I'm gonna cry, but I don't mean to. I just, like, this episode, I just remember after this lovely hour that I just felt like I was able to escape and just have a good time. And then I posted the reaction, and you guys were really excited too, and everything was just, it made me feel joy in a time that I maybe wasn't feeling a ton. So, number 1, 100%. I loved the buildup of the mystery, and the subtle hints throughout the episode, especially. It's a great episode to rewatch, about the reveal of the doctor and the reveal of the TARDIS. She's pushing back like the dirt or the sand, I don't know what it is, and the TARDIS being there. Amazing, wonderful, loved it. I lost my mind seeing the Jadoon again, so I really lost my mind seeing Jack again. And I think it's kind of good that I was, you know, watching Torchwood at the time and going through that as well, because I was like, you can see in my reaction, I go like, and that's me being like, that sounds like Jack. And I'm like, is it Jack? Is it Jack? And I just loved it, and just such wonderful thing to experience, I guess. And that's what I mean. The history of this show is so important, and there can be characters that show up from such a long time, you know, like, I just love it. I don't know. It's just one of the reasons that I love this show. So it just, anyway. Seeing Jack again was probably, if I had to say it, 100% my favorite moment of this season. Of course. I mean, it's just, and then he kisses Graham. It's great. Like, I loved seeing him again. We better see him again. Okay, I'm not fucking around. Okay, we will see Jack again, because I'm over it. And I'm just so thrilled. And it was just such a great, it was a kind of a fun episode. And then it got a little heavy towards the end with kind of being a little bit deeper, and there's a mystery, and she's like, how are you the doctor? I'm the doctor. What the fuck? I love that, building the mystery for kind of the rest of the season. And I just adored the episode. So that is 100% number one for me. So that's about it for my Doctor Who review. I'm sure that this is a long video, and I appreciate those of you who watch the whole thing and that love these reviews. I do apologize that this took a while. I do, especially obviously because some of you were really used to me doing them kind of right after the finale, you know, for a lot of New Who. But I did have the luxury to take my time, and again, I thank you guys for being so very kind and letting me do that, especially with everything going on. It just means a lot, and you know I love you guys. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.